And we're back. I'm your host, Ben Domenech. I'm here today with Michael Malice. He's the author of The New Right. You can also find his stuff at malice.locals.com and follow him on Twitter, where he has all sorts of craziness and impact. Especially, you should pay attention when someone's going after him and he fundraises off of their anger.
Spite funding.
Yes, spite funding. It's a whole new thing. You are on Twitter at the moment. But we're talking about platforms here that may not be functioning as platforms anymore. And we had the news this week of the incredible 48 attorney generals and the FTC all going after Facebook on antitrust issues, basically over their purchases of Instagram and WhatsApp, raising a bunch of other questions. We don't know how this is going to play out, but given just the unanimity of right and left, Republican and Democrat, dislike for Facebook, what do you anticipate happening because of this? And even though this is going to take a while to play out and it'll obviously be run by the lawyers and everything, what kind of impact does it have on an entity like Facebook to see this kind of threat and to be in a position where people really dislike them and blame them for a lot of bad things?
I am surprised that you blew an opportunity to use the expression attorneys general, which is one of my favorite pieces of vernacular.
Yes, yes.
I've been saying this for a long time. A lot of people in kind of the broader liberty movement are talking antitrust. Facebook's too powerful. Twitter's the public square. And I said, the example I always use is back in the day, it used to be eHarmony. And everyone's on eHarmony, and now you have Christian Mingle, and then you have all these different ones, and everyone becomes more and more specific. There's no reason everyone has to be in the same space, just like for sitcoms, just like for books or anything like that. I think Facebook has been shooting themselves in the foot for a long time, regardless of someone's politics. If I want to see all my friends' updates in reverse chronological order on Facebook or on Instagram, that should be an option. Facebook is telling me it's impossible for me to keep up with all my friends, even if I wanted to. So that is a cost to the users. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how this is going to play out. It seems like, in a sense, they're going to just cut a deal. This happened before. I think with Kamala Harris talked about in her book, there was some industry with the banks, and they all sat down and basically they get some money and they all go away. So they put a show and nothing ends up getting done. But you look at YouTube's another good example. I was on with Alex Jones on Tim Pool's show, 1.3 million views. They pulled it. They later admitted they pulled it for the wrong reason, but they haven't reinstated it. But everything Tim does, he backs up.
Wait, can I stop you there for a second?
Sure.
What was the reason they gave?
So Alex Jones was talking about how Bill Gates has claimed he's going to decide if some people live too long. And he's like, oh, sure, Bill, why don't you instead of just using the vaccines, let's just get a firing squad for everybody, right? And they interpret that as saying, put Bill Gates in front of a firing squad, right?
Gotcha.
Then Alex goes, that's not what I said. They look back in the tape and they go, oh, he was right. Mm-hmm. It's still not up.
Yeah.
So the point is, everything Tim does, he also backs up on BitChute. Substack's another one that I know you've written about in the Federalist. It's like, why am I wondering, because these rules are never objective and they're all often written ex post facto. Why am I like a tightrope walker when I can go to another site where I don't have to be concerned about being yanked overnight with no warning?
Well, one of the things that Facebook has admitted that they did in the aftermath of the election, and they may have been doing it even in the run-up to it, but they've admitted it in the New York Times, is that they pulled a lever when it came to something that they have as kind of an internal score of news, environmental quality, and that kind of thing. Basically, the effect of which was to shut down the amount of organic sharing that was possible for right-of-center sites, just across the board, and not even for what it's worth about a particular issue. For instance, disputes about the election.
Yeah.
They didn't do it with one issue. They did it for the whole sort of community, regardless of what the content was like, because of that. And one of the things that I think is a problem about these situations is that they put far too much faith in these entities to manage and make decisions that are accurate or based on anything approaching accuracy. Just like the situation you're talking about, he didn't say the thing that you said he said, and he didn't mean the thing that you said he meant, and yet the video is still not there.
Or just crop the minute.
Yeah,
it's a 3-hour episode. Cut that 1 minute.
And I think that part of the other problem that we're going to hit more and more is entities that report on what people are saying are now they have to have they are the ones who are being punished when they're not even the entity saying it. In other words, if that was something that he said in front of a rally, and I'm taping it as a reporter, and then writing it up as a story, that story has the ability. All these entities have the ability to shut that story down, even when what you're doing is a straight report. And that's something that I think is going to be a bigger and bigger problem going forward.
It's also going to be a bigger problem because if I want to be informed, you're not giving me the capacity to be informed. Here's another example. Kayleigh McEnany was making some claims about the election as relevant. Fox News pulled away and they said, no, she's saying misinformation. I'm sorry. If the White House press secretary who speaks on behalf of the president is saying things that are false, that is extremely crucial for me as a citizen to be aware of. Now, after she's done, Chris Wallace can come out and goes, okay, here's what she claimed. Here's where she's wrong. But to literally put yourself as a wall in between the Oval Office and the citizenry. And just one more point. Historically, leftism at its best, or certainly having most integrity, was extremely suspicious of corporate power vis-a-vis politics and that kind of interrelationship. And to the extent that that's come back, it's very healthy. But I'm surprised. I'm very disappointed that more people on the left aren't like, wait a minute, corporate America has been the villain for us for 100 years, and now because they have a recycling sticker on their site that they're the good guys, that's nonsensical.
But that's exactly what we're seeing happen. Where woke capitalism is something new in the American experience, where you have these giant corporate entities realizing, hey, if we just engage in this low-level wokeism, it's not going to affect us in the aggregate. It's not going to hit our bottom line because people on the right are still capitalists and they're still going to buy products. People on the right, by the way, do a lot better, and you know this given your experience. They do a lot better buying things because someone's being punished than not buying things as a way of punishing
look
someone.
at the Goya.
Look at Goya, look at Chick-fil-A, look at all of these things where it's like they get under the target area of the left, and it's a natural right of center response to say, well, I'm going to go buy that. And so to me, that what these corporate entities have made as a calculation is we can get away being as pro-China as we want, as anti-populist, anti-working family as we want. We can crush small businesses, but as long as we have enough wokeism in our agenda, the left will not criticize us for any of these things that traditionally and in the history of American politics they would have in the past.
And we've seen this past year corporate America cheering on and bolstering the literal burning down of small business, and then the shuttering nationwide, state by state, of small businesses. And this is something that I think should be very disturbing to virtually everyone. And I said this on Twitter. I said the far left criticism of corporate America is much closer to the truth than conservatives would be willing to admit in most cases.
You can follow Michael Malice on Twitter and find his work at malice.locals.com. He is the author of The New Right. Michael, thanks for taking the time to sit down with me today.
Thank you, Ben.